I've talked for a couple of sessions about power and leading out of the power of influence, but I'd like to talk about information now and the power that is contained within it. As a young leader, just learning, I went through a remarkable period of trial and error, and I led a team to Afghanistan in 1971. I've been there with a team and sort of co-led in 1970, and then Marty and I took a team of 15 back. And my concept of leadership at that time was that I was responsible to make all the decisions. And somehow, I don't even know where I learned this, but I somehow had absorbed the idea that I should keep the information, a lot of the information, to myself until I made decisions about what to do. I got away with it that summer, but it wasn't good. Not a good way to lead. So we talk about the information economy, the power of information, that this is an information age. But the way I'm using information is a little different. It's not technical information. It's not financial information. It's just contextual information of what we're doing together. It took me quite a few years to learn. I would guess probably 10 years before I understood that actually I was not supposed to keep the information about the finances, about schedule, about circumstances of our living accommodation or plans for the future, that I was not to keep those things to myself, but I was to actually share them with the people in my team or my community. Because once we finished in Afghanistan, we came back, well, we came to England and started the work, got it established as a charity and all, and it grew really fast. So before long, we were leading a community of, I don't know, 60, 70 people, and new teams were beginning to go into other locations. And I found that we were all young, but there was discontent. And a lot of it was because I would announce decisions without people knowing what was behind it. They didn't know the information. So I think I've learned over the years that very little of the things I know should be kept to myself, unless they're obviously confidential because of other people being involved and not sharing confidences. But by and large, the information I know about the finances, the information about any legal issues or circumstances or formative new vision, all these things are best shared with people. Because when they understand what you might call the variables, all the things that you have to deal with and that they should be aware of, and they are praying those things through with you, and they are able to discuss these things, and they are able to ask questions. And it's always a great thing to do, to have a community session or team sessions where people could just ask any questions they want, so that they understand what the context is and are part of the decision making. It's also just a much better way to train leaders, isn't it? Where they know what's going on, they know what you're dealing with, they are discussing with you to the extent that it's possible, praying with you and making decisions together. I need to say one thing before finishing this short session, which is, as you process like that, and process is kind of the N word on it, and has been for a long time, the more you process, the more people want process. So you actually can never please everybody on process, but do all you can without it paralyzing you. I've seen it swing back and forth over the years where we're processing more and it slows all the decision making down so much. And so we speed it back up and there's less involvement and people get less engaged with your decisions and are more likely to be disgruntled. But somewhere in between and moving back and forth, you can bring people with you and not use the power of information against them, but rather share so that they feel empowered and are with you in the process of seeking God and making wise decisions. And that way you move forward together and you minimize discontent with people. So leading by sharing information is another thing that I don't think comes naturally, but it's really important.